This is The Bottom Line. Thank you for appearing on our show. And we'd like to ask Jonathan Capehart from the Washington Post his ideas and his comments on what are the important issues being faced today in the presidential campaign. What do you think is the most important issue?
Well, obviously the most important issue is the economy. You look at every poll, no matter who does the poll, the economy is number one, jobs number two, healthcare might come in number three, but the country's been hurting since late 2008. People are still looking for work. People are still trying to save their homes. People are still trying to figure out how they can go back to the lives they might have had before the economic implosion in September 2008. And they're looking to see whether Governor Romney has the ideas and vision to help them get to that point, or whether they should give President Obama another 4 years to follow through on a lot of the promises that he made 4 years ago.
Excellent. What is President Obama's solution to improving the economy and getting more jobs?
Well, I think if you were to ask that question of the president and his administration, they would tell you pass the American Jobs Act, which he introduced in September of last year, September 2011, that hasn't gone anywhere in Congress. I think a lot of people view the president as a king or a monarch or a dictator of some sort, and not realizing that the president can propose bills, but only Congress can pass a bill. Once they pass the bill, then the president can sign it. And unless and until Congress signs the American Jobs Act, the president can't follow through on the promise to create, I think the hope was to create about a little more than 1 million jobs. So it's kind of difficult to do that when and as we know from 2 books out now, that Republican leaders on Capitol Hill had a meeting and decided, even before Barack Obama was inaugurated as president, after he was elected, but before he was inaugurated, that they were going to oppose him on everything. And this bill that I was talking about is
the American Jobs Act, right? Let me ask you a question about that. Why didn't he propose that in the first year of his administration, when he had the Democrats controlling the Senate and the House?
Well, I mean, that's a complicated question, simply because, yeah, he had the numbers, but those weren't monolithic votes. You had some conservative Democrats who didn't want to go along with some of the things that the president wanted to do. But the other thing is...
But excuse me, he did pass the stimulus, right?
Well, he did pass the stimulus.
And that's a very big, even a bigger spending program than the American Jobs Act, right? But they got through, right?
Which gets to the next point I was going to make, which is he couldn't do the American Jobs Act until he was able to do something to stop the hemorrhaging of jobs and stop the economic slide. So once they got that under control, and remember again, it's not just him, it's him and Congress. Once they did that, then he spent a year, a lot of people say he spent too much time focused on health care and not on jobs.
Let me ask you, how much was the American Jobs Act proposing to spend?
I used to know the number. It was in the upper billions, but
what is it, more or less than the stimulus?
The stimulus was about $700 something billion. The American Jobs Act was a lot less than that.
So then, if the stimulus didn't create the jobs, why should the American Jobs Act create it?
It's a matter of contention that the stimulus didn't create jobs. There are plenty of studies that say that the stimulus did halt the economic implosion, did create jobs, made things better instead of making things worse. But as everyone knows, and even as the president says, we're not out of the woods yet. More needs to be done, but the president can only do more if Congress will work with him.
Which of the 2 candidates is proposing to redistribute more wealth?
I love your questions, as leading as they are. But look, again, you have two men who believe in this country, but they are 2 men who have different visions of what should happen and how those things should happen. So it's
I wanted to talk about that. Which one? Okay,
it's not up to me to decide who's redistributing wealth and things like that. It's up to the American people to decide. It's the people in this hall here in Tampa, and it'll be the people in Charlotte who will decide. And then ultimately on November 6th, when everyone goes to vote, hopefully everyone will go to vote. and then they will make the determination as to whose economic vision of the country they want to support.
You don't know which of the two candidates wants to redistribute more wealth?
Well, I don't agree with your leading interpretation.
What
anyway,
is it that you don't agree with?
Well, we're talking about saving the country,
right?
And you can use the phrase redistributing wealth, or you can talk about having everyone be a part of the solution. Now, there are a lot of people who don't think that taxes should be raised at all under any circumstances, even when every economist, every nonpartisan economist, you've got Republican economists and Democratic economists who are saying you've got to have a balanced approach. And until we can get a situation where a balanced approach can be achieved, the arguments that we're having are just sort of hastening bigger calamities down the road. This is
are you in favor? Okay, are you in favor of redistributing the American people's wealth or not?
I'm in favor of doing everything possible to save the American economy and to get this country back on track, and to ensure that people who were playing by the rules and doing everything that they could to maintain their families and keep them together, that they are made whole again.
But you think that the government should redistribute the citizens' wealth, right, or not?
No, I think that the American government should do everything possible to ensure that the American people can go back to at least some modicum of the way things were before the implosion of 2008.
You don't think so? You don't think that they? So you don't think that the government should redistribute? Right, right. But you don't think that the government should redistribute the citizens' wealth then?
No, I think the government should do everything possible to ensure that every American can achieve the dream that we have known for at least 2 centuries, and that we really knew in 2008, and that was destroyed in the September 15th, 2008.
Sir, but you think that they should or they shouldn't?
I know that.
I don't understand.
Your ploy to get me to storm off. But
no, I don't want you to. No, I don't want you to storm off or anything. I just want to get your thinking. I want to get your thinking. So you're in favor of the government redistributing the wealth or against it? I'm not sure.
I don't agree with your premise.
What premise?
We're done. I have to go.